Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm sure a lot of people had a rough night. Just to throw it out there, I do not intend this to be a political discussion today. It's just going to be a normal show. We'll just kind of hang out and see where the topics go. But on that, welcome to Break the Cycle with DSD. I am your host, Duane. I am not a therapist, nor am I an attorney. I'm an individual much like you who's developed some tips and techniques after nearly a little over 9 years of this going through this experience, having to deal with a high conflict divorce. I've developed some tips and techniques that I share with you that hopefully will help you get your life back, break the cycle of abuse, and hopefully repair your relationship or strengthen at least your relationship with your kids. Remember that only a licensed professional can diagnose an individual with a personality disorder, so leave that to the professionals. Learn what you need to understand the patterns of behavior, focus on that, but don't go around talking to people about what your ex is or what you think they are and labeling them, because it can mess with your credibility and hurt your argument. And as soon as we lose our credibility, things tend to go to pieces. If you like what's going on here and you want to support the channel, you can do that by becoming a channel member over at YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/dadsurvivingdivorce and look for the join button. You'll get special badges, custom emojis, your name listed in credits, and member-only events. And I'm trying to remember when the next, I think it's the week after next. I'll have to double check, but there's one coming up here coming up soon. If you want to get the text notification whenever the show goes live, just text DSDLIVE to 844-598-0012, 844-598-0012, and you'll be added onto the SMS list. And whenever I go live, it will send out the link to the show so you can kind of bypass YouTube and get notified. If you want to call in and participate in the show today, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483. 1424 DSD Live. And I'll turn that on a little bit so it's active, but I have to turn the lines on. So anyways, thanks guys for hanging out this morning. It's been a weird week, just with a lot of stuff going on. And the topic I wanted to hit today, I just kind of want to dive into it. And I'm going to do this off the cuff. I don't necessarily have a lot of notes on this one, and I haven't talked about this in quite a while. And that's it. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about you, about the situation, about your situation you're in, and what the reality is. We get too caught up in trying to convince everyone of our truth. And everything, it has to start from a foundation that we know who we are, we know it's real, and you stick with that. Because if you're going around trying to convince everybody of what the ex is, what's happened to you, and they're looking at you like you're crazy, you are going to drive yourself insane trying to rally people to your cause. At the end of the day, you can only really control your own thoughts and emotions. And this is where it's really important for the self-validation. I talk about that a lot. And that's like the cornerstone or the foundation, however you want to say it, to your recovery. As soon as you can get yourself in the mode to where you're like, okay, I know it's real. I know what happened to me. Okay, there's flying monkeys going around believing things, saying things about me. You got to get to the point that you don't care. Now, the second part about this is that what's really important is when you're not getting validation externally, when you're not looking for other people to say, yes, you're right. Yes, that was terrible what happened to you. Yes, you're a good person. It helps you build better boundaries. And until you get to that point, if you are setting your self-worth on the thoughts and feelings and opinions of others, you are setting yourself up for a huge problem. The reason is if you get into the short version is that if you're trying to placate other people to get them to accept you, to love you, to respect you, to think highly of you, then you're going to bend those boundaries we were just talking about to get that, because that's what's going to be your priority. Your priority is going to be getting that validation from the person, whoever it is you're trying to seek it from. That can be a romantic relationship. That can be family. That can be friends. That can be, coworkers. I mean, I understand in some situations, like in the work environment, you have to play a little bit of a game. But at the end of the day, you need to be strong in your foundation on that you are okay with yourself, that you don't need someone else to do that, to make you whole, I guess, if you want to say it that way. The way that plays out, and I'm sure most of you can agree with this, if that's not the case, most of the time you're going to compromise on a problem. Instead of saying, hey, I don't like this. I don't like what what's currently happening, and it needs to stop. You're reluctant to have a conversation with somebody because you're afraid to stand up for what's important to you, because you're afraid to lose what you think you have, or you're afraid to lose that potential of the carrot of validation. Okay, so I went a little bit off the rails on that. Let me just bring this back to what I was originally talking about and why this is important. It's like when we get caught up in this situation, it's the worst nightmare. You are cruising along your day, you're living in your own fantasy land, and we all were living in our own fantasy land. And your relationship explodes. You find yourself in the midst of a smear campaign. You have other people, flying monkeys, who are going around and siding, believing what the other person is saying and siding with it. And it's like the double, triple whammy. You're sitting there going, what in the hell just happened? We've been talking about that the last week with some of the different callers. And the reality is that, and this is something I had to struggle with. You have to just say, you know what, whatever. People are going to believe whatever. I don't freaking care anymore. I'm just going to focus on trying to be the best person I can, find the peace and the happiness in my own life. Anybody else who is siding with Team X, Team Narc, you just turn around and say, okay, fine. You know what? They picked their side. They're obviously not healthy for me. And you have to control your own environment. You have to control what you allow into your environment. The reality is, or the good part about this is, once you do this, it releases you from a ton of the crap that you're stuck to and gives you the opportunity to start living a better life. And that is a huge thing. I mean, you don't even see, anybody who's at the beginning parts of this, who may be listen to what I'm saying right now going, wait a minute, that's like, I'm stuck in this nightmare right now. But maybe one little thing I can leave you with is that at the end of the day, you get to the other side of this, and it's like all this crap that used to just hold you back really isn't there anymore. I personally never thought that would happen. I expect that, and it was like a nice little bonus. All right, that was the main topic I wanted to hit today. Let me go ahead and just resume the phone lines. So the phone lines are actually open. And let's see. Oh, let me grab this. Your name always messes me up. A narcissism abuse survivor. I haven't seen you around in a while, I don't think. So welcome back. It says, DSD, good morning. Thank you all. Thank you for all you do. I have a settlement hearing today and this morning, an hour away from me. I'm experiencing all kinds of personal emotions right now. Your show brings me relief. Thank you. Well, glad I can help, man. Just take some deep breaths. I know that these things are stressful. We've had a lot of people lately who have been able to get some time in court. So hopefully it will go well. I hope you share back with it. If it's, let's see, settlement hearing means that you're not going to trial. It just means, it sounds like what it is, the judge is bringing you guys back in and saying, okay, you guys have had a few, you've had some time to try to figure it out. I want to hear what's going on. Are you closer to a settlement to try to determine whether you're going to go to court? A narcissism abuse survivor, what's your expectation on this? Do you think that you guys are going to be able to get to the settlement or not? I'm trying to just read what you're writing. Ooh, I'm trying to read. I'm not going to put this up because of how you said it, but it looks like it sounds like your ex is, if I'm reading that correctly, is starting to annoy the judge. That's the thing. If we give these people enough time, they typically show their true colors and start to annoy people. I was talking with a client, a coaching client the other day. Actually, I think it was yesterday. And his ex has been playing the serious abuse card, but has done it in such a way that nobody believes her now. The therapist, the protective services, the detectives, because it went to that route, the judge, and it's just hard sometimes to stay calm and just, let things play out, let it see how it goes, to see if they ultimately do, disintegrate on disintegrate upon themselves. Will Hayes says, yep, I built my boundaries wall out of a mix of, at a minimum, I can't even say that. The Wolverine skeleton and vibranium Captain American shield. That's pretty funny. I like that, man. That's what we got to do. It's weird, right? We go through this situation. Oh, I see Debbie's obviously here because she's over there. And Spiritually Empowered Coaching. I was talking to her the other day about the whole Johnny Depp thing. That's kind of where the premise of this show came from, because it's just that whole thing was, we'll talk about that at a different show. I'll make a show on that. Anyways, sorry, I got my train of thought derailed. Let's see. I'll go ahead and put this one up. A narcissism abuse survivor says to Debbie, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really so blessed that I stumbled upon DSD's channel when I was deeply in the dark and alone. Man, I tell you, that's one of the reasons why I created this, because I remember those days when I was here all by myself, trying to reconcile what had just happened, trying to see a way forward. And I didn't. It was a very dark, scary time that seemed like there was no path out of this, and nobody understood. Oh man. Oh, geez. Okay. It looks like there is a caller, so I'll wait until it's doing the processing thing. So I'll grab that in a moment. Hopefully you guys all have your coffee for today. I know I always say this. I need to start with it. This needs to be my second cup, but it never seems to happen that way. All right. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go to 816. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane, this is Will. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Will, how are you doing today, man?
Doing all right, doing all right. Actually, you're talking about coffee. I had to run out to Walmart the first thing this morning because I didn't have any coffee.
That's tragic whenever
That's
you open
funny,
up the
but
shelf and you're like, oh my God, I screwed up.
I know, right? Like, how did I miss that?
Yeah. I had that happen to me the
But
other day, actually.
I was,
Anyways, what were you going to say?
I,
Sorry.
I was no worries, no worries. I was going to call in. Well, I tried to call in the past couple of days, and it's funny how things work out. You know, I didn't get through, and what I was going to talk about, it's almost like you somewhat summarized it at the beginning of today's show, because
Oh,
I
okay.
was struggling with, you know, you have two sides. You know, you
Yeah.
have, you know, the quote unquote narc or the personality disordered person, whatever, you know, and
Or
then
just
you
call
have
it
the other
Team
side,
X.
you
You
know.
have Team X.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, if, you know, and my case, okay, so my ex, she believes that she's justified in doing everything that she's done.
Yep.
You know, there is some sort of justification, and some of that even points back to me. Well, you made me sleep with him, you know, that sort of deal.
Yeah.
On the other side, I feel justified in putting up my wall and putting up my boundaries, and no, I'm not going to do that, you know, and listening to, you know, your channel and other channels, that actually sometimes that's described as being narcissistic, you know, where no matter what she says, like for me, if it doesn't actually have to happen for the kids, then the answer is no. Like, I don't take anything. No, like, I don't want you essentially don't exist. I parent by myself. Now, some would look at that and say, wow, you're being narcissistic. You're being really harsh, But I feel justified in that. And that's how I've been able to, you know, heal mentally and emotionally by essentially blocking her completely out. Like, nope, you don't get any say in anything that's happening with the kids when they're over here, if it's not like some major decision. You know, major decisions, of course.
Well, yeah,
but little
right.
minor things. What are we going to do? You know, Halloween. Nope. I do my Halloween. You do yours.
Right.
So, yeah, so I was going to call and ask, you know, so if one side thinks that they're right and the other side thinks that they're right, like, who's actually right? But as you touched on earlier, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't actually matter, you know, in terms of growth and moving forward, you know, sitting here racking my brain every day trying to figure her out. What's her next move going to be? And, oh, it's been a week. Oh my God, what's going to happen? I know a text is coming sometime, you know. It's madness, you know, and at the end of the day, none of that matters.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually to a point, and I have you to thank for this. I'm actually starting to get to a point where I can just focus on me, you know, because none of that stuff, who cares what she's thinking and who cares what she's doing? Yeah. And I've basically made her out to be this criminal mastermind that's like 37 steps ahead, and I'm here like the usual suspects with the pictures on the wall and the strings connecting the pictures and all this other stuff, and she's just living her life, you know. So
yeah, I know the crazy I just want to jump in. I mean, the crazy reality is they're doing their own thing, not even really thinking about us for the most part. And here we are spending every waking moment trying to strategize what the hell's going on, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't.
Exactly.
You know? And I just want to dovetail just on one other thing you were talking about, because I think we all go through this. Whenever we start to set up boundaries with these people, because we have to survive, you're right. It looks and feels weird. And other people can say, well, now you're the problem. And you just have to get to the point that's like, screw everyone else. I know what I have to do for me. And I know that if I allow this, you know, demons, you know, being sarcastic, but into my realm or into my life, it puts everything at risk, because this person has so much emotional power or potential to cause problems that it's just, we can't allow it. You know, I mean, so no, you're spot on, man. I mean, and I know, and you might have other people who have in the past who have said, you know, man, you're doing it wrong, or you're being too harsh, or you're the narcissist. And it's like, you just have to believe your own truth. You have to accept what the reality
Yeah.
is and do what's right for you. For once, because most of the time we don't. So.
Yeah, I'm people pleasing and trying to, I'm asking different, is this the right thing to do? What about that? Well, that doesn't feel right. It's like, I just need to do what's good for me that helps me move forward and be the best dad for my kids I can be, period. If it falls outside of that, then I'm not going to do it, but
yeah, exactly.
I'll go ahead and drop off, Duane. Thank you for taking my call. I really, love your show and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Thanks for calling, Will. Have a great rest of your day, man.
Same to you.
So I just want to dovetail on that, if I can hit the right button and not hit the wrong button like I did a minute ago. And, that's the key. Well, let me say what the key is first. The key is just realizing that it doesn't matter what the ex says. It doesn't matter what they're trying to say. The hard part about it is they figure out that you're doing that. Most of the time they'll come back and they'll say, well, why don't we co-parent, right? It's like as soon as you set up a boundary and they can't find a way to get back in, then they're going to look at it and try to come up with a scenario to make you feel like crap for not doing it. You just have to focus on building your life, rebuilding, or, salvaging the rest of your life. Focusing on them, trying to placate them is a waste of time. And it's frustrating. And especially when they play like what the caller was talking about, when they start playing this game, like with his example being the Halloween thing, it's like, oh, what are we going to do for Halloween? And it's like, we ain't doing nothing. You do whatever the hell you're going to do. I'm going to do whatever. We're going to follow the court order. And then it'll be like, well, okay. My ex would do that crap all the time. It's like she'd throw something out there, it's like, oh, let's just forget that I've been trying to stab you in the heart for, every day for the last year. Now let's all just put that behind us. And why won't you let me get close with my sharp blades? I don't understand what your problem is. Anyways, so... but that's good though. I mean, technically that caller, it's somebody who's getting farther along on this and is starting to see their path through this and getting their life back. So, all right, let's see. Oh, it looks like some people were commenting on the whole, you made me do this. I mean, and we didn't discuss that when he was on there, but, they're going to say whatever the hell they need to say or whatever they think they can say to make it about you, not about them, and that it's your fault. I mean, the whole thing with I cheated and it's, you made me do it. That's crap. I mean, or let me say this. Maybe it's a cop-out. If you're in a situation or if you're in a relationship and it's going south and you're not getting your needs met, and you decide that you need to, you need them met, the relationship's over, right? You either have a conversation and say, hey, we're going to have an open relationship, which I would absolutely not recommend, or you say it's over and it's done, just that I always find that annoying. But just to be clear, I never dealt with that one. That was not an issue that was in my thing. But anyways. Oh my God, I feel... Okay, so I'm going to do this with Namaste. It says, thanks, caller. And Duane, mine moved into the basement, and he tries to talk to me, but I know where that leads, so I say nothing to him. It looks bad, but works. Oh my God, I can't believe... You guys who are still stuck with your toxic exes in the same home, you guys have such amazing perseverance to have to endure that. And I know a lot of times it's just out of necessity, I think, right? I mean, most of the time it's like, oh crap, there's no money for us to, we can't afford to move out. So you're stuck in it. And I know in a lot of ways, a lot of, we haven't talked about this in a while, but a lot of people recommend and attorneys recommend, and it's very risky, but it's staying in the house, right? I mean, if you're going to, if the marriage is over, and it's what it is it's to try to end run around I'm the primary custodial parent and I should get full custody because the other person's not here. And it's to limit I've decided you can't see the kids thing. So a lot of people recommend saying just stay in the house until you have an order. Your divorce is done. Basically, custody's done, everything's done, because then you're negotiating from a position of, well, you see the kids all the time anyways. So it's just, you got to just be careful and understand the type of person you're dealing with, because if you're dealing with somebody who is going to go down that's not the right word, try to utilize the silver bullet, let me try that again. Basically, tripping over my own tongue, basically domestic violence type issues, you could potentially be setting yourself up to where you're then dealing with a criminal issue. Whoops, I hit my microphone. And the family court issue, which just creates a whole nother layer of complexity. Actually, at one point, I was actually considering staying, and the reason I didn't is at the time my brother was a local deputy sheriff, and he's like, "Dude, you're insane. All she has to do is make a false allegation against you, and you're going to jail, man." It's like if they called me and there's anything looks out of the ordinary, you're going away, and then you're going to be dealing with a criminal case and your divorce. It's like, you are nuts if you're staying anywhere near her. So that was kind of nerve-wracking. That kind of made me nervous. I know I'm an attractive man, but I don't want to be attractive in jail. Okay, so I thought that was funny in my own head. You guys will have to let me know. It's like, all right, Duane, you might want to have a little bit more coffee before you do your shows. Let's see. Carrie says, I'm in Pennsylvania where you can get a divorce without leaving the marital home legally. Legally, I cannot make my husband move out. Technically, you can. The only way you can make someone move out is if there's a DV issue, and then you get a protective order, and then they can't be there. But I mean, even in California, I mean, if you both own the house or you're both on the lease, then it's both people's property. So you can't really force anyone out. But you just, like I said, you have to be careful. And just to be clear, every one of you guys need to be careful. I don't care if you're the mom or the dad in this situation, because if you are dealing with a toxic, narcissistic, vindictive, sadistic person, all they have to do is set you up and get you to respond in a way that fits their narrative where they can call 911, and you could potentially be going to jail, or at least be removed from the house. And that's, I mean, granted, I mean, the risk is probably more towards the male in this. However, what I've seen, especially from talking with people throughout this channel for the last 4 some odd years, is the narcissistic, toxic person seems to have a unique ability to fabricate a story that everyone initially believes. I mean, so you have to be careful. Anyways. Oh, geez, that's a great point. John says War of the Roses. Oh, see, that's the other thing that I find so amazing, and you guys haven't said it in a while. I haven't heard this in a while. A lot of people are like, oh my God, the narcissism and all this stuff is it's running rampant now. It was never like this. Well, War of the Roses is exactly what we're talking about. And that movie was made, in the 80s? It's, I'm trying to remember I can't remember who the actors were. I mean, I can see them, but I can't remember the names. But there's so many examples burned on film, recorded on tape for songs that talk exactly about this. The difference now is we have the internet, we have books, we have all kinds of information to really dive into what these behavioral patterns are. As opposed to just being a pop culture thing. It's like, oh wow, now that song I can relate to it because now I've experienced that. It's now one of those things where it's like, well, wait a minute, this is totally screwed up. Kathleen Turner, right? Thank you, SM Fernandez. And who's the guy? Kurt Russell? No. Was it Kurt Russell? Michael Douglas. Thank you. Thanks, Tech Moore. You were just waiting to see if I would just flounder, which I was. Thank you, Tech. And John, appreciate it. Debbie. All right. Now, see, I could see the faces. I just couldn't place the names. So, anyways, I digress. Phone lines are still open. We're only at the half-hour mark. Will says, I left the house after stopping by one night and saw the new guy there on the couch. I packed up and moved out the next day. I gave up all rights to the house. 2 years later, I have my own home, or my own house. So, yeah, I don't know. I see rule 1, never leave the marital home. I can't say, now I can't. See, mine started playing with the serious false allegations. So unless I could have, I don't know. I don't regret that I left. But let me just be clear on what I did. When I left, I moved about a mile from where the other house was. I was able to rent because of where I live. And the cost of living was low. I was able to rent a house. So I had room for the kids, and I was doing everything to basically set it up to where I was in a position to have the kids at least half the time, if not full time. And I was not going for full time. I did not. That's not what I was going for. I was just saying I wanted 50-50. So I think that's the caveat, right? Now if I would have moved out and I would have moved in, far away or like in a different town, and I was renting someone's room or something or crashing with a buddy, well, then the problem with that is that the argument that's going to come right up is, well, do you have room? Do you have room for the kids? Oh, you're living in a one bedroom, or you're renting a room from somebody. Well, how is that going to work? You guys all can't be in the same room. They were trying, right? I remember that was some of the discussion or the questions were being asked is like, well, do you have space for the kids and stuff like that? So, let's see here. Alex says, Duane, any advice to all that are impasse and battling with the fact that if the narc are aware or not awareness, what they are doing? If they're aware or not aware. I've talked about this in the past. My thought on this is it's more instinctual. There's varying thoughts on it, right? Some people are like, yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they're doing or why they're doing it. It's just that they're doing it. My opinion is they have this lifelong experience where they have to play these games, and it's just instinctual. They lash out. They make up these stories. They keep the plate spinning, so to speak. That's probably a bad example, but the chaos going to detract from people looking at them. And it's easy for them to play these games because they're emotionally detached, and that's what they have. That's what they do all the time. I see it all the time. It's just really frustrating. You can watch, right? Because it's like a cone of chaos that follows these people around as well. Let's see here. Okay, be careful what you guys are talking about. I don't want the conversation to go south. But I do have another caller from area code 612. Let me grab that right now. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on?
I'll back up what the previous caller, Will, said. Like, you've been a tremendous help to me quite a bit since I started going through this stuff. So just wanted to say thank you for that.
Well, glad I could help.
Actually, I've been in a little bit of a funk for the last couple of months. Long story short, my daughter had lived with me up until about 2.5 months ago when everything fell apart. So was in a bad spot, started working on the custody paperwork, was kind of like lollygagging with it a little bit. Like, I just wasn't taking it seriously. Kind of didn't really know what I was doing. But anyway, yeah, then I got not served, but got a little notice in the mail from child support collections, and they want my financial info and my employment info and all that stuff, which is like fine. But I was like, well, crap, like I haven't done anything to be proactive. So I started looking through some of your old videos, and you were talking about it's either like being proactive versus reactive or something along the lines of like anticipating what they're going to do next.
Right.
And getting ahead of it. So you already have you got a game plan. So I kind of sat there. I'm like, what can I do for myself? Like, speaking of focusing on yourself, like starting with me, what can I do? Cut out any advice, and this is good advice actually for anyone that's listening. So cut out, I listed junk food on my little notes here, but alcohol, smoking weed, whatever it is, whatever the people do, like no judgment. But if you're going, I just realized like if I'm going to get this done right, you got to cut everything out. You be the very best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Start eat well. Start cooking. Anyway, I kind of digress. So I went and bought a weight bench. So I'm doing like in my off time when I don't have the kids, I'm doing whatever I can to focus on myself. But so anyway, I said, what can I do to focus on the case in like a civil way? So I set up a shared calendar, and she accepted it, and I filled out all the dates with like the current parenting time arrangement, which is not court ordered. We haven't even been to court yet. So I set that up. She accepted it, and then I set up a dentist appointment for our daughter on my day. I added it to the calendar, and like a day later, she says, "Oh, she already has a dentist appointment. Please cancel and let me know when it's done." So I responded. I'm like, "Oh, great, thanks for doing that. Like, what are the details? Where is it? When is it?"
Right.
But didn't get a response. Waited about a week. Sent an email. Didn't get a response. I eventually did like 2 days ago. But anyways, I did that. I'm like, okay, we can use this calendar to like co-parent, and we can just put important dates and stuff on there for now until we get to court. So, but it was like that initial response. Like, I was proactive. I made that dentist appointment, and she just like shot it down. And what I bet happened is after I did it, she probably called some other dentist office and set it up herself.
More than likely, that's typically what happens. But good, man. I mean, you're doing it right? I mean, you're basically taking control of your environment. You're making better decisions, and you're instead of just laying down and getting rolled over on this, you're like, okay, all right, I'm in it. Let's do this, right? I mean,
I got even better. Yeah. So I swiftly got my paperwork stuff done, and if for anyone who's never been through it, I mean, you've got summons and petitions and affidavits and financial disclosure forms and affidavits, all this stuff, right? Like, and then you got to make 4 copies of it. But
right.
Yeah, I ended up getting served last week. So then, like 2 days later, she emails me and says effective immediately. My schedule is being cut in half, and she gets to say that right now. Like, I'll take whatever I can get. And this time I responded appropriately. Like, I wasn't like, how could you do this to me, or how could you do this to her? I said, okay, sounds good. Like, she'll be back by 5 from there. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather. So then I don't know. So I'm trying to take stuff in my own hands. I got another email from her like the next day. So she was obviously pissed that she got served, and read the paperwork.
Oh, you served her. You
served
her?
I served her. Yeah, because
oh, okay.
When
okay.
the child, I was like, okay, if I don't get my stuff together right now,
yeah,
I'm going to be raked over the coals and probably end up like alienated. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, called my dad, had him serve her, and I did all the court stuff, and it's in the roster now.
Well, but I mean, if she turned around and unilaterally is like, okay, well, I've decided we're going to change this parenting time now. You have to do something. Yep. You can't just sit by. I mean, because that's the game that's the game that always gets played. As soon as they realize, even if they hadn't been planning it, they're going to look at it and go, oh crap, I need to make sure I have more time going into this because strategically, I mean, it's standard. The standard tactic is, I've decided that this isn't healthy for the children. I've decided this is bad for the kids, and we, you need to see them less. And all it is to try to right. to force the timeshare change. So good for you, man. I'm glad to hear that.
I think I get it, legally done. She's just trying to like, what do you do? That poke, that beep, whatever. The
boop. Yeah, the eye poke.
For now.
Yeah.
All I can do is document it and agree.
The
next day, I got another email that she's concerned about my mental health.
Oh, of course.
That I've been emotionally abusing her daughter, and I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic and all this stuff. So to be proactive, I didn't even respond. I went and got one of those little like breathalyzer keychain things.
Yep.
That connects to your phone. So you can do it and it'll log it. You can keep a series of it. So I'm just going to do that every morning, afternoon, and evening, and have this log there. So if that comes up,
that's funny.
Here you're. This is a log of me breathing into a breathalyzer for the last however many days. So 2 months ago, I would have been like, "How could you say that?
Yeah,
you're totally wrong." I'm like, I'm just gonna go get ahead of it right now. And it's been worse and worse. It's just like it's like every 2 days, it's this thing. Like, how can I like we forgot a teddy bear over here last time she was here, and I'm hurting her because she's so attached to it. And how could I forget it? She was here for 3 days. She didn't touch the thing. Like, she's just making stuff up.
Yeah,
I can't believe you're hurting Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll grasp for straws to do that. Well, hey, thanks. Sounds like you're on the right track, man, and thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll call in a few weeks and keep you guys posted.
Yeah, please do. All right. Have a great rest of your day, man.
Thank you.
It looks like there's another caller too. So before I do that, I just want to just hit this point. And that's, man, they will look for anything and everything to try to jab you in, to grab their bony little finger and go boop right in your eye. And it's one of those things where don't take the bait. Try to minimize around it. Like even on the teddy bear thing, in that situation, either just ignore them, or if it works for you to go, all right, fine. Well, I'll just, I'll bring it right over right now. But it just depends. I'm not saying that's the right answer. Pretty much whatever is the right answer for you is the right answer. And don't overthink it, because no matter what you do, your ex is still going to try to trash you, right? Because you could be thinking, I'm just brainstorming right now. You could be thinking, oh crap, they're saying that I'm not responsive and whatever, so I'll jump in the car and drive over. Well, even if you were like, oh wow, I didn't even notice. Yeah, okay, fine, I'll bring it right over. Not a big deal. Send little Susie out to grab it, which they probably wouldn't do, but whatever. And but no matter what, even if you did that, somehow it's going to be spun that you're the bad guy. It's like, well, it's just so sad that your dad just doesn't understand what's so important to you, little Susie, and it's so sad that we had to call him to have him, and beg him to bring it over. Right. I mean, that type of crap. Just realize you can't win with these people, and do what's right for you. Right. I mean, if your little daughter or your little child is calling and crying saying, hey, would you bring it over? And you can, fine. Anyways, man. John says Duane has a lot of advice on the relationship with kids topic. It's not easy. Oh my God. It is not easy. It is so freaking brutal and frustrating, and just it's tough. All right, let me see what else is going on in the comments, and then I'll grab the other. Oh, crud! There's 2 callers. Well, let me look in the comments real quick. I'll just kind of scroll around, see if there's anything that I missed that is significant. So. Oh, wow. Okay. This is just going, Namaste was saying to John, so her lawyer is also saying, my lawyer said, don't leave too, even though I don't want the house. See, it's so sad that this crap all gets into that strategic, positioning, moving your chess or moving your checker pieces. Cause God, this is like, the emotional level of checkers. It's just silly. But when you're dealing with somebody that's toxic, I mean, I get it. It's like, well, if you move out, then you lose, it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. All right, let's see here. I'm going to scroll back down. I see you guys liked my boop. And I have 2 windows open where I can see it shows me the emojis correctly. All the little boop emojis from all the channel members because they get to use those. Oh, that's funny. All right. I am going to go to area code 978. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane, it's Tiffany.
Hey, Tiffany. How are you doing this morning?
So I couldn't help myself. I'm at work and I just have to respond. For your first topic about keeping up appearances, do what you need to do for you. Be healthy and happy, because at the end of the day, if you happen to go back into court, your crazy ex is making all these allegations, and you're over here being just you, like sane, level-headed, got it together, and that's the important thing that judges look at.
So very true.
My crazy ex is probably going to start a text battle with me about me getting setting up a parenting conference, and he's probably going to tell me I have no right, and I'm just going to let him run with it. Once we recognize the pattern, we should totally just expect it, but just move on with our life.
Well, and use their own responses against them, right? I mean, that's the other benefit to this. If we don't engage,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, if we don't engage in their shenanigans, I mean, that's a weird way to say it, but then you have this whole record of you being reasonable, you being calm, and them being a nut job. The problem is most of the time people take the bait.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but
yeah, it's true. It is.
It's one of those moments where you go, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand you're upset, okay, and then just leave it at that. Let them fester with their own hatred and anger.
Yep, exactly. Great advice, man.
Don't let it be you. And
it's so hard that it's such. I mean, once you realize that, it's such a simple concept. When you finally get to that point and it clicks, you're like, oh wow, that's easy. That makes sense. I don't have to respond to everything that they say. I don't have to do this tit for tat to systematically go down why what they're saying isn't true. It doesn't matter. Let them say whatever the hell they want. Let them put it on record. And we just demonstrate that we're being reasonable. And you don't even have to go and say, look, stop saying this. If they do this diatribe on whatever, just say, look, the appointments, the parent teacher conference is Thursday at 9. Are you going to, see you there? Done. Right. So.
Well, I mean, you don't even have to say anything like that. You can just acknowledge that they have spoken and you have read the message, and that's it.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably even your better bet, because anytime you respond, it's going to give them an opportunity to re-engage. So. Anything else, Tiff?
And if you're doing it by email, do the secured email where if someone reads it, it sends an email back to you saying that it was read. But the second thing about the lawyers is that most judges don't want the children to move out of their home that they've lived in all their life.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of lawyers tell you to stay.
No, it makes sense. I mean, because that's going to be an argument against you, right? So,
Exactly right.
You got to be really, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of respect for the people that can do that, but I mean, you got to understand the risk, and you really need to understand who you're dealing with and how far they're willing to go before you make that decision. In my opinion, at least. So, well, hey, thanks, Tiffany, for calling. I appreciate it.
I mean, if you can handle it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't want to get you in
welcome.
trouble. I know
day.
you're running the show. I know you're running the show today. You're the big boss. So thanks for calling in.
For the next 2 weeks.
There you go. Hey, this will lead to that promotion you're working on.
Hopefully.
All right. Thanks for calling. Yeah, Tiffany's a regular for the show, and she's always on the Discord. So if you guys, remember there is a DSD Discord where the conversation continues offline. Man, we're down to the last 10 minutes. Oh, man. All right, let me just check the comments, and then there's another caller. I'll grab that in a moment. Let's see. Oh, man. You know what? Maybe what I'll do, Alex had a comment. He says, my new partner is very understanding, but is always looking for better ways to understand me and what I have been going through. That's a big topic on its own. You know what? I think I'll make that the topic for tomorrow. So, cause that's a big one. So sorry about that. Almost coughed in the microphone. That would have been annoying. All right. I'm going to go to probably maybe the last caller. I'm not sure. Area code 8845. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane, it's Matt from New York. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? This topic turned strangely focused on you today, I think.
Yeah, a lot of things. I wanted to touch on something, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Get feedback, and that the other day I took some bait. Nothing terrible, but there's a thing with lately. It's been a couple of episodes where I get a call from my wife at work saying, our son, our son is Bobby, whatever. Bobby said that blah, 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 that kind of thing. This thing was, he has a journal that he does for school. And when he does it, when he draws something that he and I did together, I tell him how much I enjoy that and how much it touches me. And I love that. I tell him that. So he was, I guess he was doing his journal, and, he said, long story short, she told me that he said that if he doesn't draw something that involves me, that I'll be mad. Here we go. It's always something. So I got aggravated. I didn't do anything. She said, you were nasty to me. I wasn't nasty to her. I don't think I'm nasty.
Right.
I just say, I'm tired of this. I can't, I don't want to hear this anymore. And then she's like, well, here, talk to him and let's see what. I was like, no, you're not putting him in the middle. That's what she likes to do. She likes to put him on the stand and say, well, I'm not doing that. So I got off the phone, but then I'm all frazzled because I know what this is. I've heard these arguments before that they make. It's like, look, they almost try to turn it around on me. Now I'm a monster. Yeah. I'm literally, you really think I'm telling my son, that's what she would do, I think, whatever, but I don't like those accusations. And just, she baited me into it. And I think maybe it's true that the sense that I was so excited about when he draws something of me, he implied that I would prefer he do that. There is a possibility.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
it's true. The implication is that I told him literally, you draw things with me, you don't draw things with mommy. And everything with me goes back to court because I'm scared to death of losing everything.
Right.
And they're going to say, oh, you monster. Look what you said. You tell your son that you want to make this whole show.
Yeah. Let me just jump in real quick. So here's the thing, right? I mean, your ex is going to do exactly that, is going to try to find any way to try to to poke you in the eye. Right. And it's horrible because they take things out of context. And it's very likely that your son made some comment about, I want to draw something. I mean, could have said it in a very nice way. Like, oh, daddy really likes it when I draw a picture of him. So I want to make sure I draw a picture of him. Because I like making him happy. Right. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But then they're able to take and spin it to something nefarious. Here's a simple thing, right? Just like, hey, I'm at work. Can't talk about it right now. I got to go. Click. Right. I mean, just hang up on her, just say, hey, I have to go. When you see your son, yeah, I know. It catches you off guard. It catches you off guard. You're not expecting it. Yeah. And you typically don't respond to people like that. Right. I mean, we're taught etiquette wise, you don't do that. Right. And it seems wrong. And it's tough to do things that feel outside of our comfort zone. And then the flip side is that when you see your son later, just say, hey, buddy, hey, just so you know, and I'm just doing this off the cuff. So I'm not saying this is exactly how you deal with it, but this is my thought on it. You would just basically say, hey, just to be clear, you don't have to draw a picture of me every day. I just thought it was really cool. It was kind of neat, but you don't have to do that every day. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't, whatever. I want to see what you're doing creatively. And if you want to draw a tree with a dog running around it, that's fine too. Just make it benign, right? That's the way to go around and not undo, but to kind of inoculate the situation on this drama and chaos that your ex is trying to throw out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what I did, he ultimately drew something that involved my in-laws and his mother. And I, just like I always do, I always praise his relationship with other people. I just told him how great that was too. Yeah. And how much I like that. I didn't really get into that. You don't have to draw anything about it. Was just about how great that was.
That works too.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You should get that because I've always done that. I've never been, and then, you always you're tempted to. You are tempted to do. I know I am. I'm always tempted to say, you literally say, mommy's bad. Not that you know what I mean? Yeah. You want to go in there. You want to.
Oh, right.
And then I've told you sometimes when he says something with that clearly shows that he understands. Not that mommy's a monster, but like when he says, mom, when I called you, I said, why do you yell at daddy? I was like, oh, he knows. And I didn't have to tell him those things. Sometimes you want to. And then if you take that, temptation and you do it, you almost lose, you destroy yourself and you become, it's a slippery slope into becoming what you're fighting against. Now you're giving them, that kind of stuff that's twisting their mind.
Exactly.
And kind of confusing.
And it's.
So I try not to do, but it shook me, and I took that, and we got into the thing, and she shook me more because then it somehow gets into then we got on the phone,
mm-hmm.
and it got into. She says, ultimately she says, well, you can move out. And it gets into again. I'm not moving out. I'm where my son is. That's where I am. I could move out if you would agree to an equitable custody arrangement. Well, that's not in his best interest. That's not his, and then that
because I've decided what's in his best interest. You don't get to decide. It's me. Yeah, I know.
It triggers me with my anxiety. My heart rate goes up, and then I said to her,
absolutely.
And if there has to be a custodial parent, it shouldn't be you because you're unfit for that role. And that pissed her off. And I shouldn't have probably. I was upset with myself for going that far.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it wasn't the worst thing. It was like I called her, names, screamed at her.
Well.
But I don't even like to do that.
Oh crud! We're almost out of time. So let me let you go, and I'll end on this topic. So thanks for calling, man.
Thanks.
All right. So what I just want to say, what I want to try to say on that is, if I can get my thought right on this, is we all are going to make mistakes, right? Like that last little example he was talking about, probably shouldn't have said. But here's the thing: we get put through such a ringer that sometimes we have to do things like that, right? I mean, I know that there's things I did that I would absolutely recommend you guys not do. That if I was calling into the show, my 7-year-old self, not 7-year-old, but 7 years in the past, was asking for advice, I'm like, man, don't do that. But here's the caveat with this. Sometimes it's so frustrating and we feel so powerless with this that it's not that we don't have a choice, but it's like we feel like we have to do something. Now, I've done those things. I've said like what he's talking about. I've made those comments. I've done worse. And I've gotten to the point now that I realize that it's not good for me to go down there anymore. But I've gotten to the place to where I'm okay with that so I can do that. Back then, I couldn't do it. So when you do something like that, don't beat yourself up. I mean, don't make it a reoccurring pattern because there are risks to it. But sometimes you have to do that. You have to basically, poke them back in the eye just to try to even the playing field. And on that, thank you guys for hanging out with me today on this Wednesday. I know we're about out of time, so I'm just going to say thank you to all the channel members who make this happen. Appreciate you guys, and as I always say, I recognize everyone at the end of the show with a scrolling list. It keeps getting longer. I really appreciate that. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care. Sorry for the last caller. Leave a message when it closes out, and we'll see you here tomorrow.